much I do love you. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Wealth Station. Brother Rick Williams, your gracious host, and we're live here on YouTube and on Facebook and some other places. So I just wanted to say good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure you put your comments in the section because I can't tell who's listening, who's doing what, because this is StreamYard. The StreamYard is different from everything else that we do. So we're live here on YouTube with StreamYard, and we're going to continue our conversation that we had yesterday about the idea of how to overcome rejection. So yesterday we started talking about the great, we were about to get into this conversation about the great Sam Zell. Sam Zell is a multi-billionaire. Good afternoon, Sister Jones. How you doing? Sam Zell is a multi-billionaire, and what he does is that he acquires properties, acquires companies. He turns those companies around, and then he sells them. And he started out in the real estate business back at the tender age of 23. And we're going to talk today about some of his acquisitions that took place during that time and how he overcame a bunch of problems. So it's two things I want to discuss with you today. And that's the idea of how rejection is so important, because what happens is that rejections, it pulls back the layers of the problems that people acquire. And when you're able to solve people's problems, the bigger problem that you solve, the more money it is that you earn. So the great Sam Zell, as we mentioned yesterday, was born in 1941 in Chicago, Illinois, by his immigrant parents. His immigrant parents came from Poland. His mother and his father came from Poland. And the reason that they came from Poland is because there was imminent danger there. They got out of Poland right before their brothers. He had 16 siblings, his father did, and they all got murdered with the exception of one person. All these people got killed in Poland. Why? Because they wouldn't take heed to the announcement when he told them, listen, trouble is on the way. Trouble is on the way. Winter is coming. Quite often you have people who have a clarion call in your life to let you know that winter is coming, that winter is on its way. And the only way that you won't be able to become successful is because you ignore the call. In other words, people let you know, hey, winter is coming. Winter is coming. The ants understand that winter is coming. That's why Proverbs 6 says the ants who don't have no guide, nor king, nor leader, he said they get down in the summertime. And when winter comes, you don't have to worry about seeing them. You never see an ant in the winter because ants are always working during the summertime. They know that winter is coming. Noah worked on an ark for 120 years, and he kept telling everybody, you better run it out. He said, it's going to rain. He said, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. Better get ready and bear this in mind. You see, God showed Noah. He showed him the rainbow sign. He said, it won't be water, but it's going to be fire next time. So listen, when somebody's warning you ahead of time about things that are going to take place, take heed to the warning and be proactive and make it happen, because rejection ain't no big deal. See, people hate being rejected so much until they won't listen to you while you tell them that something is about to happen. So listen, his brothers and his sisters wouldn't listen to him. He said, look, y'all better get out of Poland. This is Sam Zell's daddy. He said, y'all better get out of Poland while the getting is good. So he had the presence of mind to deposit some money into an account in America, in New York. So when he got to America, he saved his whole family's lives. And Sam Zell, the great Sam Zell, look him up, Sam Zell, and look up all of his companies and his businesses. Sam was born in 1941. He was pregnant when they moved to America. His father had the equivalent about $10,000 in the bank, and so so he started raising Sam in Chicago, Illinois. He started selling grain at first, and then he started selling wholesale jewelry. Then he started going into the real estate business. So Sam is just observing everything. And he in his first business that he had, he was selling Playboy magazine. Sam, that is, as a little boy. He went and bought him a Playboy, and then one of his friends found out. He said, "Man, how much that cost?" Sam said, "I sell it to you for $3." Sam, he bought it for $5, so he made 6 times what he paid for it. So he learned to buy low and sell high as a little boy. So he said, "Man, that just made common sense. Buy low and sell high." And he said, man, if scarcity is in a game, then that means that the price don't even matter. So one thing that you guys want to do in order to overcome rejection is to make sure that you're selling something that everybody else ain't selling. All right. One of the reasons why I sell unincorporated trust, one of the reasons that I operate this way, controlling everything and owning nothing, secrets of how the wealthy legally avoid taxes, how the wealthy legally avoid lawsuits. The reason that I sell trust and the reason I operate that way is because very few people in the world understand how to operate out of a trust. So when I talk to people, pretty much 100,000 out of 100,001 people I talk to, they need me and I don't need them. Okay, are you listening to me? One way that you overcome rejection is stop selling stuff where people are not even interested in what you're talking about. Make sure that they want, salivate, are thirsty for what it is that you're talking about. Making sure that they are a hungry fish that's predisposed, already looking for you before you even have a conversation with them. That's one way to be able to overcome rejection, because the person needs you and wants you. All right. You ever been in a relationship where you wanted the person and they wanted themselves? Y'all both wanted them. What kind of menage a trois nonsense is that? You got to be like my main man, Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye said, "I want you and you want me. So why don't we get together after the dance?" So you got to want people, and they need to want you too. Because if you're the only person that wants somebody, then you're going to be flooded with rejection, because the person don't even want you or what you're talking about. And that's the number one problem people got. They selling stuff that don't nobody want. The only person that want them is them and maybe 2 or 3 other people. So you got to evaluate whether people even want what you got. Not whether they need what you got, but whether they want what you have, because they can need it but don't want it. All right, so here's Sam Zell. He gets to America. His daddy starts selling jewelry, and his daddy instills these incredible values in Sam, teaching Sam how to have moral character, and teaching Sam the Jewish traditions that they have. I can't remember this word. It starts with an S, but it's talking about a good name, because the Jewish folks believe in the Bible, who make all this money. The Jewish people are the richest people in the world. If you look at the Forbes 500, it's even though it's a very small population of Jewish folk, they own almost they flood out the top 100 out of the Forbes 500. So just check it out. Just look up the names, and you'll see a whole bunch of Jewish cats got plenty of money. Success leave clues. Study the rich, study the rich, study the rich. Stop studying your brokers. Who is that? Your broker mama, your broker sister, your broker aunt. Don't get no wealth advice from broke people. Get your wealth advice from the richest people in the world. That's why Solomon's the number one person I study. I study Myron Golden. Myron got some money. I study the real rich people. Sam Zell is one of my studies. J.P. Morgan is one of my studies. And the books that you ought to get, John Pierpont Morgan's book, The House of Morgan. Get that book. Get my book, Control Everything, Own Nothing. Get my book so you can learn the basics about how to start a trust. You can find that at www.controlebook.com. If you want a personal book, direct message me and I sign one for you and send it to you. And they cost like $50. You can just donate $50 to Kenya, and I sign a book and send it to you. All right, so here we go. How do you overcome rejection? Here's the idea. The idea of overcoming rejection is this: learn that rejection is good. All right. That means that there's some problems that's about to get solved, and you're about to make some serious money. So be glad that the person bring up whatever it is that they don't like. Be happy. Be happy. Don't take rejection as personally, because they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the idea that you're presenting right now, because that idea is not solving a problem. Are you listening to me? So I let people reject your idea so that you can find out what idea really solves their problem, because the money comes in solving people's problems. Nobody should give you $1 if you haven't solved their problem. Nobody should give you $1 if you have not solved their problem. Are you listening to me? Nobody owes you anything. You don't deserve no money until you solve a person's problem. Are you listening to me? So Sam Zell, he's 23 years old. He starts at the University of Michigan. He starts to manage some properties there, and then he decides he's going to start buying some blocks. So he goes to this block and he starts buying everybody's property. So he's giving people money for their properties, letting them know. And this is his pitch when he goes in and talks to a person. He says, listen, we're about to buy this whole block. You don't want to be living on this block with all these kids, because it's going to be college kids on this block. We're about to buy the whole block, and we're going to redevelop it. You don't want to live. What we do is we give you some money now, because we're going to buy the block. Okay. But we're going to give you some money now. If this is what you want to do, you can move to the other side of town. We'll help you find another house with the money that we give you, and a better place than where you live at now. It'll be in a quiet neighborhood, so you don't have to worry about this college ruckus that's going to be going on around you. Because do you really want to be in the middle of that? So people were like, yeah, that makes sense. I want to move. So he started giving people money for their cribs. He only gave them $1,000 down, and then he said he would finance the rest of the deal. So he gives one person $18,000 for their house. The person sitting next door to Sam, they said, man, my house is bigger, Sam. I want more money than you gave my neighbor. Sam said, man, all we're going to do is tear your house down. All right. So he's like, they try to reject Sam's offer. So Sam said, man, listen, your neighbor been living next to you for 25 years. You really want me to cheat him and give you more money? So the guy's like, man, if you give me more money, we won't tell our neighbor. So Sam is like, dang, I hope they got some tools the way you just threw them up under the bus. Are you serious? You really want me to give you more money and lie to your neighbor and act like I didn't give it to you? He said, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, let me tell you something about rejection. Rejection ain't hard when you used to rejecting people. All right. Rejection is not hard when you used to rejecting people. All right. I told y'all, if you didn't hear me yesterday, let me illustrate the story. I don't know if I told you yesterday or not, but we had a case where somebody tried that with me. I bought a house for 125,000. I was selling for 150. Then I realized that we had not got the right payoff. So since we didn't have the right payoff, we ended up having to give the lady more money. We gave her 125. We ended up having to give about 133 because the payoff wasn't right. So we was gonna make less money. Instead of making 25,000, we're gonna make about 10,000. So somebody called me and said, "Hey, I give you more money for that house than what you was getting ready to sell it for, Rick. And I got cash and I'll close in a week." I said, "No." I said, "Other person, we already told them how much that it was gonna cost them. It's our fault that we made a mistake about the price, and we're gonna make less money, but it's not their fault. It's our fault." So I called the guy's name was Todd. I said, "Hey, Todd, don't worry about your price going up, bro. It's the same price as long as you can close on the time you said you was gonna close in." Cool. So the people was like, "Man, we give you some money right now." I was like, "No, I don't want them bribes because it ain't nothing but a bribe." Let me tell y'all something. You don't make big money being bribed with little money. And let somebody bribe you with 10, 15, 20,000. It don't make no difference. I don't care if it's $100 million because all money is little money to God. Learn how to reject people. Then it won't be so hard for you to accept rejection. Are you listening to me? Now, the people was trying to do something and it wasn't right. The question comes when it comes down to this money game, just ask yourself one question. Is this right? Okay, if it ain't right, then I ain't gonna do it. And that's it. And that just make your life simple, okay? So that you won't be picking up them little pennies and then God cursing you from the money. And, you tripping over pennies and stuff when missing all the $100 bills because you unscrupulous. You dig what I'm saying? So this is the Wealth Station. Welcome to the Wealth Station. It's Brother Rick Williams, your gracious host, and we're talking today about this whole idea how you overcome being rejected. And one of the things that help you to overcome being rejected is learn how to reject people. When you learn how to block a shot, it don't bother you so much when your shot get blocked. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? You learn how to be like Shaq and get in the middle of the lane and be fly swiping people's stuff when they bring you bad proposals. And then that way, when you make a proposal to somebody else and they swatch your stuff, you won't get offended. You'll be like, okay, let me readjust this so that it makes sense to you so that we can all benefit from this. So my man, Sam Zell, told the dude, "I ain't giving you no more money. All right. You can take it or leave it." So when the old boy figured that he wasn't gonna get no more money, no way, he went ahead on and he sold his house. So now Sam Zell, read this book. Am I being too subtle? Read it. I've been listening to it every morning while I'm working out. So Sam Zell asks him the next question. So he gets down all the way to the end. Is one house left. It's sitting on a double lot. All right. So everybody's been trying to buy this house because they can, if a house is on a double lot, they could actually develop this house by themselves. They didn't need to buy the whole block. But because people have been rejected, they have been rejected because the lady who owned the house, she said, "I don't know." She said, "This is not my house, Mr. Zell. This house belongs to my uncle." So he's like, "Okay, where your uncle lives?" She said, "He lives all the way in Winnetka, Illinois." Now, Sam Zell is from Chi-Town, like I am, right? Matter of fact, when I found out is that Sam Zell's office at 10 South LaSalle, I used to have an office in the same building. I'm really feeling Sam Zell now. While I'm reading this book, I'm like, I'm feeling the connection, bruh, to all those millions. God bless you. And God bless you and your great, work ethic, you dig? So he tells the lady, "Okay, I'm gonna go visit." So he called him in. He said, "Sir, I'd like to come visit you and talk to you about your house that you own in Ann Arbor, Michigan." So he's like, "Cool, come on by." So Sam went by his crib in Winnetka. So he gets to his house in Winnetka and they start talking about it. And Sam said, how about if I can buy your house, put your niece in a better house on the other side of town so she didn't have to deal with all this college stuff, because he loved his niece. His niece took care of his mother that died. His mother was buried across the street from where the house was. So Sam was dealing with reality. See, one reason why it's hard for a person to deal with rejection is because the person don't even really care enough about what's going on with the situation to even get the details. But you want people to do business with you, and you want people to do business with you at a high level, and you don't even know what's going on. See, the reason that people want to ask people questions is because they're afraid a person to answer the question. Are you listening to me? Some of the reasons that your relationships don't work is because you're afraid to ask a person what they want, because they might tell you what they want and you don't want to do it. All right. So you have to get over that. You got to be like, what? These relationships take work. So let me ask the person, what works for you? Let me ask the person, what about this doesn't work for you? What could I possibly be doing better that I'm not doing good right now? See, that invites rejection. That invites a dissenting view. It invites that into a situation, but it's real. And what happens is that you learn what a person really wants. And then you can give a person what they really want. And now you can make tons and tons and tons of money and have the best relationships in the world because you inquired, took the time to find out what the person really wants, what the problem is. The reason people can't solve problems because they don't know what the problem is. The reason people don't know what the problem is because they're afraid to ask you because you might tell them. Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me? My ex-wife told me she didn't like She didn't like flowers. So I told her, you say, Dad, your ex-wife, Rick, you must not have did real good. But that's a horse of another color. That's a story for another time. But my point is this: I'm an avid listener. I pay attention to what people are talking about. And she said she didn't like flowers. Now I thought flowers was the coolest, most Mac Daddy thing you could possibly do. I should have gave her flowers. Should have held her hand. Okay, no, don't give her flowers if she don't like them. She told me she didn't like flowers. So I ain't never bring them no more. Sound weird to me because I thought it was so cool. I thought it was a cool thing. You dig Mac Daddy vibe. You bring some flowers in. She told me I don't even like flowers. I like chocolate. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I never bring no flowers back because she didn't like it. It don't make no difference what you like. What makes a difference is the person that you're dealing with, what they like. All right. Can you deliver what the person want? And how you gonna know what the person want if you don't ever ask them? And how you gonna get so mad when the person tell you they don't like something until you just draw up and act like a 6-year-old and go someplace and sit in the corner and suck your thumb? You just passing up millions of dollars. All right. So get over it. Now let a person tell you what they like and what they don't like, and then you tell them what you like and what you don't like. That's how you get over. That's how you overcome rejection, because you understand it's necessary. Let them reject what doesn't work. Let them reject the first idea, sometimes the second idea, sometimes the third idea. So Sam, the reason that people that couldn't buy this house is because they was being rejected. First of all, they never even had a conversation with the man that owned the house. All right. Go straight to the people who run things and have conversations with them. All right. When I talk to people and they tell me, they say, Rick, I can't help you. I say, okay, so who's your superior? And they start talking. I say, you just told me you can't help me, right? They say, yeah. I say, well, no offense, but there's no reason for us to be continuing to have a conversation. You can't help me. All right. So now this is just a social conversation. It ain't business no more. And I don't want to waste your time. And I'm not going to allow you to waste mine. And I don't mean this in any kind of narcissistic kind of way, but pass the phone to your superior, please. All right. Then they pass the phone because they see that you ain't playing games. So then they give you the person who you actually need to talk to. And quite often you can work the stuff out. But you can't work nothing out, and you ain't even talking to the person that make the decisions. Are you listening to me? Don't allow people to waste your time and have conversations with you, and they can't even make a decision if they wanted to. Are you listening to me? I was selling cars, and I started doing real good. And I was selling cars, and unfortunately, it was a racist joint I was selling the cars for. They couldn't stand the fact that a black dude was #1 selling the cars. Okay, it just is what it is. Okay, so I go in and I talk to these cats, and they start trying to put monkey wrench in the program. So they had this young girl. This young girl shows up. She wants to buy a car. She was real ignorant. She was cussing. I didn't like that. Okay. And her daddy was allowing her to cuss. I didn't like him. So they sitting there. They're trying to buy a little car. I forget the name of the little car. And they're trying to Jew me down on prices. So I said, do you have a job? She said, no, I manage my father's properties. I said, that's not a job. Do you have W-2 forms? She said, no. I know she can't buy a car. I know anything that we're about to talk about is going to be a waste of my time. So I walk right in. I talked to this dude named Mike, who used to be the finance dude. I said, Mike, I said, I'm talking to a young lady out here. I don't even like her. She's rude. She's abrasive. She's brass and all of that. And she ain't got no money and she ain't got no job. And she out here talking slick. She gonna make me grow my perm back up in this piece. What's up, Doc? So he's like, man, just do the deal, Rick. Just do the deal. I said, Mike, I'm gonna tell you right now, partner, if I finish talking to this woman, finagling with her, taking her on test drives and all that, and I come back in here and you tell me that she can't buy no car, it's going to be trouble between me and you. Now, what kind of working environment is that? Well, you got to talk to somebody like that because they're playing games with you. Why? Because they're jealous of you, don't like you. In this case, racist, and a little punk, look like a little leprechaun. I wanted to pimp slap him back wherever he came from, back to Ireland, wherever he came from. That's what I wanted to do. But the Lord blessed me to be not so street, you dig. So anyway, I take this woman out and we go riding around and all that sort of thing. We come back, we argue for 2. She's talking all the stuff I don't want to hear. For 2 hours, I'm hungry. I wanted to go eat, prepare myself for the rest of the afternoon. We get back, we get through all of that, all this finagling. I go into the office. I said, Mike, we finally got a price that she'll agree to. Mike says, it's just one problem, Rick. I said, what's that? He said, she doesn't have a job. How's she going to buy a car? Now, you should have seen the steam in my ears like a cartoon character. That's when you really better praise God, Jesus. Because, man, in my mind's eye, I knocked that dude out at least 6 times in my head. I gave him a 35 piece in my head, and I quit. I quit because somebody was about to get hurt. I quit like the next week, all right? Because I was like, I'm going to hurt one of these cats because they don't like the fact that I'm doing good in here. Why? Because I don't play games with folks. I don't talk to people who can't make decisions. Are you listening to me? I don't mind being rejected, okay? What about you? You got to stop that. You got to stop smoozing up to folk and letting people intimidate you and all that sort of a thing because you hate rejection. Rejection don't mean nothing to me. I've been thrown out of better plases. Y'all got to take that attitude. You got to start having the attitude that, what, I don't care. I don't care. I love me some me. All right. Kiss yourself one time. Let's go. Matter of fact, give yourself one more. Let you know, tell yourself, I love me some me. All right. I love me some me. You better love you some you. All right. Run around here, can't take no doggone rejection. You ain't gonna never have no money. You're gonna never have no money like that because you're gonna be sitting around and it's gonna be based on people's opinion of you and how folk treat you. All right, let's go. I got 10 minutes left before I got to get to another meeting. So here's Sam Zell. He got a good attitude. He wouldn't take that dude's bribe, and he's willing to find out what the problems are. So because he kept saying no problem, write this down. Every time somebody tell you a problem, say no problem. All right, write this down. Every time they tell you, do what Sam Zell does. This man is a billionaire, multi-billionaire. Pay attention to him, okay? He said, no problem. All right. So he said, so the man told the guy, he said, look, we'll swap out this house, this that I'm buying for you. You won't have to pay no taxes because Sam Cole with the tax law, just like I am. He said, I'm gonna show you how to buy, I'm gonna show you how to swap it out tax-free, because when I buy my houses, I buy them tax-free. When my students buy their houses, they buy them tax-free. We don't pay no capital gains at all because we buy them out of a trust. We have no liability at all, not $1. All right, that's why my book is called Control Everything, Own Nothing, Secrets of How the Wealthy Legally avoid taxes, how the wealthy legally avoid lawsuits. All right. We don't do nothing that's illegal. Everything that we do is legal, lawful, and lasting. And we understand the tax laws like the back of our hand. I know the tax laws better than your attorneys. I know the tax laws better than your accountants. Why? Because they don't even understand how to file a 1041. You say, what's a 1041, Ricky? That's a trust fiduciary form. We don't even have to file income taxes. We just report the taxes. Are you listening to me? We just report them. The IRS have to capture credits for us. I'm sitting here in a hotel. It's costing me $1,000, what, $800, $900 or something to be here for 4 days. They got to pay me back 4 times what I paid for being here. Why? Because that's the rules. That's the laws. Because I'm paying for it out of a trust debit card. Are you listening to me? I'm not paying for this stuff out of no Capital One card. I ain't paying for this stuff out of none of that little generic stuff. This is a trust debit card. All right. This is a trust debit card. All right. This is what I'm paying with, a trust debit card, meaning that this room don't cost me nothing. They got to pay me for being here. Are you listening to me? That's why I travel around the whole country trying to spend money, because the more money I spend, the more I get back. That's why my customers spend money. The more money they spend, the more they get back. That's why I'm here in Maryville, because I just got through interviewing 2 of my customers, and they're going to be part of my documentary. It's going to be right here on YouTube, teaching people how to live the way that we live. All right. This is legal, lawful, lasting, and it's old too. It's been going on since the 1700s. It's just that you guys don't understand what tax credit's about, because ain't nobody going to teach you in them child concentration camps that they call schools. Because in the schools, they try to make sure that you stay broke and poor. The person who taught me the idea I got from this book, Control Everything, Own Nothing, came from John D. Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller created the school system. That's right. The board of education, all that stuff. John D. Rockefeller created this stuff. Why? As a diversion. He said, let us create a school system and teach everybody how to be broke so they won't compete with us. And we'll operate out of trust and run the whole doggone world. Trust funds, trust funds, trust funds. All right. That's where the richest people in the world hang out at. Trust funds. When I wrote this book, I was sitting right in the University of Notre Dame. Look, it's on the video right here on YouTube. Okay. I'm sitting at the University of Notre Dame talking to Tim Brown, the great Hall of Famer, one of the top 10 wide receivers in the history of the NFL. And we're sitting there at the University of Notre Dame back in 2019 when I first learned this trust business, because I was like, I'm buying all this real estate and I don't want to pay no taxes. How do I buy real estate, don't pay no taxes? That was my number one question to Tim. He said, when I buy a hamburger, Ricky, he said, I buy it out of my trust. He said, and we create tax credits. I'm like, what's a tax credit? He said, well, a tax credit is like when you're sitting in a park and you leave your coat in a park, and then you leave and you forget about it. Then you go back to the park and you say, oh man, I left my doggone coat. Like me, I'm always laying down stuff. If it's your stuff, I never lose it because I guard it with my life. If it's my stuff, I need 10 of everything. I just bought 10 pair of these glasses because I'm gonna lose all of them before the summertime is over. I lose watches, lose all that. I forget about this stuff because I got my mind on millions and I can't remember small stuff. That's why I delegate everything to everybody else. So getting a tax credit is like leaving your coat in the park. So you leave your coat in the park and you decide you want to go back and get it. And then you see this dude walking down the street with your coat and you're like, hey man, that's my coat. That's exactly my coat right there. And my man said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Some homeless dude maybe grabbed your coat or something like that. You're like, I don't know what you're talking about, player. You got some receipts for this coat? And you're like, no, I ain't got no receipts, man. You're like, well, it looked like my coat then because I don't see no receipts. Well, that's the way it is with y'all. Because y'all don't have this in y'all pocket, you can't get no doggone tax credits. That means that the money you spend, every time you spend some money, you basically wasting 4 times what you spent because you didn't get 4 times back because you're not operating out of no trust, because you don't even know what a trust is. So that's why I have a class coming up called Test Your Financial IQ Challenge. It's all in my bio on Instagram. Go to my bio on Instagram, Rick the Wealth Coach, and you can look that up too at financialiqchallenge.com. All right. So Sam Zell is like, man, I got to figure out how to get this deal done. Come on, we got about 5 more minutes left. Sam Zell says, I got to figure out how to get this deal done. So he asked the man, he said, if I can get them a better house on the other side of town, would you be cool with that? So my man, like, yeah, if you can get them a better house and I ain't got to pay no taxes, because that's what rich people are concerned about, taxes. He was like, yeah, if you can do that, then cool. So my man said, all right. So he found him another house on the other side of town, and he took the lady and they started walking through houses. So the lady was nice and all of that, but she wasn't paying no attention. All right. When they got through at the end, he was like, man, she don't like none of these cribs. All these cribs colder than hers, nicer than hers. I wonder why she playing me off like this. So then when they got back to her house, he's getting ready to drop her off. It was a dude drunk, kind of leaning on the stairs. And she said, that's my brother. So Sam was like, huh? She said, yeah, he drunk every night. He's like, what? He said, yeah, he get drunk every night. She said, that's why I didn't like them houses you just showed me. He was like, why? She said, they too far from the bars downtown. My brother, he get drunk every night and stumble back to the crib. You dig? So I need a house that's close to the bars for my old drunk brother. So Sam was like, what? Okay. He said, okay. He said, what'd he say? No problem. See, she was rejecting his proposal, but instead of him getting mad about being rejected, he just said, what? No problem. Okay. So he takes off and they go back looking for some more cribs. He said, you know what? I found a nice house for you. He said, and it's so nice, we can build an apartment upstairs and your brother can stay upstairs. All right. So she said, cool. Then she called him back and said, me and my husband talked about it, Sam. We can't, that ain't gonna work. He said, what's the problem? She said, my brother too drunk. He can't be walking up the stairs. Sam was like, no problem. All right, everybody write that down. No problem. Okay. Rejection ain't no problem. It's just a chance to, solve a problem. So Sam said, I tell you what. All right, we found another crib. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to build on this lot, and then we'll build a basement for you. Your brother can stay in the basement, and then he can just go down 5 little stairs every time he get drunk. It's close to the bars, and now it's all gravy, right? So she was like, that's a great idea, Sam. Word him up. So Sam started writing the paperwork up and everything. Then she called him back. She said, Sam, me and my husband was just thinking about it. We can't do that to our brother. We can't put him in no doggone basement. We just wouldn't feel good about that. Sam said, what? Everybody said at the same time, no problem. All right. Sam said, ain't no problem. All right. He said, I tell you what we're going to do then is we're going to build out one side of the lot for you all, build out the other side of the lot for your brother. So your brother have an apartment that's adjacent to yours. He won't even be in your joint with you at all, because they was like, we really don't want our brother living with us at all, really. But we want to make sure he's taken care of. So Sam said, how about we build y'all a place side by side? And we can put an apartment on top of y'all, and y'all will be able to collect rent so that you'll have less expenses. How about that? They said, ting, 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 ting. Deal. All right. And they signed off on it. Boom, 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 boom. Why? Because he solved every one of the problems. By the time Sam was 23 years old, they had bought that whole block. They turned around and sold that block. He's 23 years old, just finishing up at the University of Michigan, about to start law school. Already got $250,000 saved up in cash and working on his law school degree. Oh, why? Because he understood how to solve problems. Why? And because rejection didn't mean nothing to him. Let me tell you something about rejection. Rejection separates you from everybody else because most people can't take it. They so messed up. Don't let your emotions mess up your motion. Are you listening to me? We are so emotionless. All of us who make real money, our emotions. Let me tell you something. We so busy in motion until we don't worry about our emotions. Write it down. Be so busy in motion until you don't even have to worry about your emotions. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? All right, I gotta go. I gotta get ready for another appointment to talk to a young lady. So I promised you guys I was going to be done right around this time. I want to thank you for coming on this YouTube live. Get used to it, because this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be live on YouTube, and if it's adjacent with some of your Facebook groups and Facebook, you guys can listen to. But this is where we're going to be. I want to encourage all of you guys to do like you train. The great Myron Golden taught me to go live on YouTube. So I want you guys to do the same thing. All right. Tell everybody your stories. We will have my documentary is going to be on here, and we're going to be doing a whole bunch of amazing things. And if you want to learn how to sell a product that nobody else is selling, then send me a message. Okay. Send me a message. Say, Brother Rick, I'd like to learn about the trust program that you have, because I want to sell something that nobody else is hardly doing. I want to be in a blue ocean. I don't want to be in no bloody ocean. I'm already selling stuff. I'm already pretty good at sales. Well, it doesn't matter. Even if you ain't, it doesn't matter, because we teach you all of that. And if you want to learn how to make our commissions, the average commission that we make is $7,000 plus. And so that means if you got 5 or 10 customers a month, you make $50,000 plus. All right. So once again, if you want to reach me personally, send me a direct message on Instagram. That's the best way of being able to get me. Rick, the Wealth Coach, on Instagram. All right. God bless you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be live again tomorrow, and just get used to this. We'll be live on right here on YouTube. 2 p.m. Eastern will be the time that we'll be live. God bless all of you. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's been a plum, pleasing pleasure, as well as a privilege. And remember that stellar is as stellar does. Have a phenomenal day.